Welcome to the Arsenal show. We are live, and we've got another full house tonight. We've got Steve Kay in the house. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, how you doing, mate? Hello, everybody out there.
All right, I'm good. And hello, everybody out there. Hello, we welcome Simon Lester back in the pod as well. How you doing, Simon?
Kieran, good evening. Good evening, everyone.
All right, and we've got Con Marble Halls. How you doing, Con?
What's happening, everyone? Hope you're all right.
You all right? You sure? Wi-Fi's all good?
Oh, is it messing up already?
What you say? Can't hear what you're saying.
Delay. I tell you what, if I sort of cue your question 5 minutes before you answer, it may just hit it on the point. But I think
Give
we'll
me a
be all
couple
right.
of minutes, I'll sort it out.
No, I think we'll be all right, Con. I think we'll be all right. But yeah, no, we'll do what we can. We've already got Johnny waiting in there. How you doing, Johnny? Nice to see you again. Nice to see you. We've got plenty to discuss tonight. We're going to be discussing the Wolves game, of course. That was on Thursday, so we haven't had an opportunity for everyone in this pod to have their say. Ruben Neves a bit salty about it, but then did his own celebrating himself on the weekend. We've also going to be discussing the Brentford game, which comes on the weekend, and that's going to be a tough one. We'll be talking about Arsenal taking advantage this time of other people's drop points, and of course we'll be touching on whether Arsenal still have the pull that some clubs maybe think we don't. However, Mikel Arteta has other things to say. First of all, who should we go to? I mean, let's go with Steve. Steve, give us a quick summary of what your thoughts on the Wolves game, the 1-0 victory.
Yeah, I mean, I think we said after the show in the post match that it was always going to be for me, like a really tight game, and I think that's what it was. Typically, well, not typically, we go down to 10 men again. But what's showing me and what's pleasing me just week in, week out now is that fight that we seem to be showing, and that steadiness we seem to be showing in midfield, and that steadiness we seem to be showing at the back, and the partnerships that seems to be appearing all over the pitch. With Xhaka and Partey, I thought they was excellent against Wolves, and you had, I mean, you could say it's a partnership of three with Ramsdale and White and Gabriel. I mean, Ramsdale. It's just incredible. I mean, I've had a conversation with my dad today, and I think we must have spent about 30 minutes just talking about him. I mean, what he's brought to the club is absolutely incredible. But I think what stood out to me was the fight. I mean, of 2 years ago, we would have gone down to 10 men. We would have lost that game, and we need to show that fight now, because we all know that the problems we have with scoring goals, and it's not going to come. They're not going to come flying. So when we get a 1-0 win, it's all 1-0 go 1-0 up. It's going to be quite important, to be holding it. And I think I'm getting confidence that we can with there's the partnerships that I just mentioned. I still got the worry about us going forward, but I think with these games coming up, these last 17, 18 games, I don't think it's getting into that time where it's not about results or anything like that and scoring goals. It's more going to be about performances, nicking that 1-0 wins or that odd 2-1, getting that goal, and more about the fight rather than the level of performance. And I'm over the moon, mate. Just week after week, it just seems to be getting better and better.
Yeah, it does. 1 down, 15 to go, Simon. Does it feel like the reality is getting there? Does it feel like we could actually make this top four with all these other teams around us dropping points, us taking advantage? I think we already took advantage of it. They didn't take advantage of it. The pressure's on them. Do you think it's going to happen? Does it feel like it's going to happen? We're too far away.
No, I mean, I said on this show 3 weeks ago, I said I think our season will be determined by these away games, the likes of Wolves, Palace, Villa, Southampton. So that was the first test on Thursday. Now, I'll be honest to you, travelling to the game, I thought this is going to be a really, really tough match. And arguably, if we'd have got a point there, it wouldn't have been like a total disaster. So we scored a scrappy goal, which is quite nice, really, for us to score scrappy goals, because we're not sort of renowned for that. I thought we played pretty well, especially in the first half. But then, obviously, with 20 minutes to go, I was over the other side of the pitch, so not many people really understood what had gone on at the time. And they, unfortunately, at Wolves, they only show action from when Wolves are attacking. You never get a replay from for the Arsenal goal or anything like that in the stadium. Obviously, for the last 20 minutes, it was cheeks were clenched, should we say? But that was, that they sort of Wolves are moaning about the celebrations afterwards. But let me tell you, there was a great atmosphere in the away section on the side there, the whole side down there, and that's a big 3 points. So at the end of that game, I'm sort of travelling home thinking, well, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's a bonus. We've got 3 points. Now, little did I realise that sort of within the next 3 days, by not even playing, that could, you could argue, put us in an even stronger position than where we were at 10 o'clock on Thursday night. Now, that still remains to be seen. But, the next 6 to 8 games, where I think other than rearranged games, we sort of, they're all fixtures where you think, do you know what, we can get something out of this. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a few there will be slip-ups for us. There's been slip-ups for others, but we're in a position where you say it's in our hands now. Now, we're not going to win 16 games. We know that. But you've just got to break it down now. So we've got 2 home games in the next 9 or 10 days. Should we get maximum points out of those 2 games? If you think Spurs are at City, one of those games is a rearranged game. So it'll be we'll catch up United and West Ham with that game in hand. But let's just break it down to those next 2 home games. You think we've got Brentford, which will not be a pushover, will not be like the guaranteed 3 points that lots of people will have. And then we're going to have Wolves again, who proved against us they're a good side. And as you saw against Tottenham, all right, I don't think Tottenham played particularly well on Sunday, but that will be a very, very difficult game. So I think just let's focus on those games. See where we get. We've got, we've virtually had a full starting lineup on Thursday. All right, we're going to miss Martinelli on Saturday, but we can cope with that. But he'll be back for the game after. So really is sort of, dare I say, sort of exciting times now.
Simon, is it time to forget about Spurs, just concentrate on ourselves?
100%.
Because we keep talking about these other clubs. We keep talking about Spurs. We keep talking about West Ham. But Spurs have been pants, if I have to be honest. They've not impressed me one bit under Conte. We can talk about the new signings they've brought in. But I don't think our season's going to boil down to what any of these other clubs are doing. But that's just my opinion. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. And as I say, I think you've got to factor in within our remaining 16 games. We are going to lose games. And we'll probably lose one when you least expect it as well. But all you can say is that, I'm like you, I don't really want to look at other clubs. But what happened at the weekend with teams dropping points and what may happen is it gives us a little bit of a buffer. And if you've got that buffer, there is an element of being able to have a slip. Now, we don't want to slip, and it'd be lovely in a month's time to say, look, we're 8 points clear of 5th place. I don't think that'll happen. But as I say, it's the year whereby the team that makes the fewest mistakes are going to get that 4th spot. Because ultimately, at the moment, it really looks like a hot potato that nobody's interested in. I mean, who's to say if Brighton win tonight at Old Trafford, they're knocking on the door as well. We went through this scenario the other week, saying who do we think's favourite for sort of top 4. A lot of people said Tottenham because of the Conte effect, but I'm like you. They've lost 3 on the trot, and the next game's Man City away. to me, they're hemorrhaging points. You know, was it the stat they were 7th with 3 games in hand? They've now played their 3 games in hand, and they're 8th. So
yeah. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a joke when I saw it. I thought it was a joke. I genuinely thought it was a joke when I saw that as well.
Yeah. So no, I'm with you. I just think let's concentrate on what we've got. So basically, we know Saturday at 3:00 there's a big opportunity there to basically cement the position a little bit more and maybe get into. I don't know when West Ham are playing this week, but I know Spurs are Saturday tea time. But we could be there 4th place on, depending on what happens tonight with Man United. But we can certainly be no worse off really than where we are now with a win on Saturday, and that's all that matters at the moment.
Yeah, Steve, we've still got some many tricky games ahead. We've got the likes of Everton away. I mean, that's last game of the season, so I can probably see it coming down to that. We've still got to take on the likes of Man United at home, but it's still Man United. We've got Liverpool away from home. We've got to play Chelsea as well. And I think we've still got to play that rearranged fixture against Tottenham. Is there any other of those games that we've got that you think could potentially be slip-ups, or any of the games I've mentioned there?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got to play Liverpool as well, haven't we? I think.
Yeah, I said that in there.
Oh, you said that as well there. I mean, look, to me, every game that we play in the Premiership, I can look at it every week and, you know, pick something out the bones that they've got something on the lines that can beat us. I mean, look at Burnley, the bottom of the table. You know, we couldn't beat them, and look what they did against Manchester United. So every single game, I don't think you can actually really pick some. Obviously, there's your Chelseas and there's your Tottenhams and teams like that, and your Manchester United. They're obviously going to be a lot harder than anything else. But I totally agree with what you said when you said you've got to take game for game, because you know, you can go to Manchester United, you can win 3-0, and then you can go away to somewhere like Burnley and you can get draw or get beat. So to me, that's the Premiership at the minute, and it's just, you know, I just don't want to get too carried away. And you know, a lot of people they look at the games, they look in each game. Oh, have West Ham won? Have Tottenham won? Have they drawn? What's Man United doing? You can't do that. You can't do that. It's too close to call. You know, by the time it gets to 2-3 games before the end of the season, there ain't going to be nothing in between this. You know, there's going to be 4 or 5 points with 4 games today between 3-4 teams. You know, I think like West Ham and Wolves, they'll probably slip away, and I think they'll tick over, and I think they'll have good seasons. But I think they'll tick away. I totally agree with what you said about Spurs. I think there'll be a next season team. I think he's going to need another season to get.
Conte's still there.
Well, if he's still there, yeah.
If the summer comes and he don't get the money that he wants, it'd be a quick sharp.
Exactly, yeah. But you know, so I haven't really got any worries about Tottenham at the moment. I mean, for me, you know, the worry for me is 2 things. The worry for me is Manchester United in form, and also, you know, I go back to the worry is Arsenal's squad, and because I do think it's very thin, and if we do lose a couple of players, I think we could be in trouble. And you know, I don't want to look at the end of the season and, you know, go back to looking at the transfer window again and saying to myself, why didn't we do that? You know, when we lost the league, when we've lost the Champions League by 2 points. But again, I'm looking too far ahead then. But all you can do at the moment is just, you know, look at the teams. I mean, Manchester United for me is the team that's, you know, everyone's waiting to click. They're the team with a squad. They're the team with the players. They're the team that's got goals in their side. But it is just squads. To me, it's down to squads, because if I put Arsenal's squad, our 11, up against any of those 11s, yeah, defensively, I think we're better than Manchester United. Midfield, I think we can match them. Odegaard, Partey, and Jack. I think with what Man United have in midfield, I think on their day we're not far too behind them. Our defence is as good as all of them, if not better than Man United, better than Tottenham, better than Wolves, better than them all. You know, so that's great. But the squad, the players behind is a bit is very thin, and up front, Manchester United have got the goals. There's, they're my worry. You said about like, going forward, there's going to be what games are going to be difficult coming up. Tottenham's always difficult, but that Man United game is going to be absolutely enormous because that could be the one. If we can beat Manchester United, if we can get that 3 points against them, then that could put us in the Champions League. It could literally be as big as that. But I really do worry about the decisions of the transfer window. It worries me. I can't get it. I can't get it out of my head.
If you look at the games we got around that time, Man United followed by West Ham, that could potentially wipe out two of those teams out of the spot if all goes well beforehand. I agree. It's a massive game. The game against Spurs. The thing is, it's all in our hands. We've got two games in hand on the other teams. We win those two games, which would put us in that full spot. And then we've got to play all of those teams: Man United, Tottenham, and West Ham. So it's in our hands. So yeah, it feels like Arsenal always mess it up, but I think the reason why Arsenal were in the position they are in now, the reason why we were in the full spot in Christmas, is because we weren't messing it up. When other teams were dropping points, we were actually making those points count, and we did it the other day against Wolves. So I think there's a different mentality in the team. There's a level of confidence which I'm loving at the moment. There's fearlessness. And a self-belief which I haven't seen in this team in a good few years, which I'm very happy at seeing. So going forward, yeah, touch wood. Top.
What about the squad though, Kieran? Does that worry you?
I can't. I was worried before, a little bit, but I can't. I'm not overly worried by it. I'm not overly worried by it. The worry is the replacements, like as in Nketiah. The numbers isn't worrying me so much. It's the who comes in.
Yeah, that's what.
Then again, if Lacazette can withstand injuries and not get an injury, then it's all right. But yeah, I mean, I'm not. It's not something that's at the forefront of my mind. I'm not watching each game and worrying.
I wish I had your mind, Kieran. I really wish I had your mind. I can't get it out. Do you remember? You'll remember. Both of you remember the 2 seasons. I think that's why. One sticks out of miles when I think it might have been Bergkamp got injured, or was it Ian Wright? I can't remember. It was one of them. They both got injured at key times in the title, in the title race or going towards it, but we had backup. I think we had Christopher Wray, and he came in and he smashed the last 4 or 5 games of the season.
Yeah,
and that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted. That's the type of player I wanted to be.
Yeah, and I get that. But I think Christopher Wray was the player that would score that one goal. He'd scored that one goal in an important game. He wasn't the guy that scored a hat-trick or 2 goals. So even then, it wasn't like, if you're bringing on Christopher Wray, it's not like you're guaranteeing gols. And I mean, it's probably more guaranteed than Eddie Nketiah right now.
Exactly.
But again, I'm not getting into going to this game and worrying about a player getting injured or a player getting sent off.
But it's gone, isn't it? Whatever happens.
Yeah.
In the next 16 games, 17 games, we aren't bringing any players in. So it's an irrelevant question. We've got what we've got. If we get an injury, somebody comes in. End of. Yeah. So there's no point in worrying about it. It's just like they're the facts now.
I think if you hear it, we're hearing things all over the place. Like Arteta's trying Gabriel here, he's trying that, he's trying. So it's like there's something happening. They're thinking of these other options that they can go with, and it'll be exciting to see what happens with Arsenal with regards to, because I don't think Lacazette's gonna, not necessarily an injury is going to happen, so he's going to drop him out. I think it's more of a case of, I think he might rotate it or he might try and bring someone else in, because I just don't think Lacazette has got 17 straight games in him, or 16 straight games in him. He just hasn't. He just. It seems like the belly gets bigger every game that I see him on. It's,
But that's what we're saying. If you look, so we played last Thursday. We've had well over a week, so we may have Tommy Asu back. To be fair, Cedric didn't have a bad game at Wolves. He came.
It's about time he started getting credit as well.
Yeah,
right. And the other one was when Holding came on for the last 20 minutes. He was very, very good at the back there. So
solid.
So we may have Tommy Asu. I don't know. I've not seen any update, but we may have another player back who's available for selection on Saturday. But we'll have had 9 days off. Anyway, we have them 9 days off, and then we get another 5 off before the next game. So Europe's starting up again. So indirectly, West Ham, United, there's more games there. There's more games for potential injuries. There's more games for potential tiredness. Unfortunately, we're not in Europe, but it just gives us maybe a little bit more time to recover and stuff like that.
I think. What's your thoughts on? We've got the game on Saturday, and then we've got the game on Thursday. The one thing that did actually worry me was the lack of momentum, and I'm hoping that if we can get a good result against Brentford on Thursday, on Saturday, sorry, then the Wolves game is not too far away, and hopefully we can take a good result from that one into the next one.
I mean, it's a sellout on Saturday. There'll be a raucous crowd, and obviously, I'm confident going into that game. But as I say, I certainly don't think it's going to be a walkover. Yeah. I mean, obviously, what you'd love to do is, have an early goal or two, 2-0 at half time, and then you think, right, okay, fair enough, we can hopefully put it to bed. But they're on a bit of a typical promoted club. They started with a bang against us, and 3-3 against Liverpool. But if you look, their form has actually tailed off a little bit. So maybe it's a good time to be playing them. But once again, it's a London derby. We're not talking about a West Ham or a Chelsea or a Spurs, but it is a London derby. They'll bring their full quota of fans there. But, if you want to finish fourth, or if you want to get in that top 4, this is a game that you virtually got to get 3 points, and you cannot be dropping points at home to Brent. We've done it to Burnley. I think the circumstances were slightly different because I think we were out for the count. We had suspensions, and the players were just spent there. But we can move on from that. They've had the rest. We've got most of the players back now, so this is a slightly different scenario for me.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get on to Burnley just before we finish. We'll do a little preview of that one. As you saw the other night, the LA Rams won the Super Bowl, and the papers were quick to jump on the bandwagon saying that fans demand that Kroenke spends money. Steve, have you seen any favouritism in any of these franchises, any other franchises that he's got? Are you one of the ones that feels like he's not spending the money like as the press was trying to say the other day?
Well, look, they give. I mean, for first, I haven't got a clue of anything about LA Rams or Super Bowl. I think it's an absolute joke sport. I mean, I don't even know what's going on when I'm watching it, so I don't know too much about what's going on. I tried to watch 10 minutes of it and just can confuse the absolute arse off of me. So they can stick with that, and good luck to them. But I mean, the money was there. They in the winter transfer window, they tried to get Valavic, and so there was 70 million, and they would have signed him if they could have got him. So I've got a little bit of confidence there that the money was there to get in. I've been told since after the transfer window that the Isaac money that Arsenal are not sure of him. They're not sure of the league that he plays in, and they definitely don't think that the 90 million euro release clause was worth it, which makes me think that he isn't coming in the summer, and someone else will be. But I'm a lot more confident of what I was certainly last season when we had the conversation, when we were saying, what's he going to do? He needs to start backing us now. Well, he backed us. He put in 150 million or whatever it was, and Arteta went out and got the players he needed. And I've still people, I've got a big up Arteta for picking out them players and sort of making that new backline that we've got. But no, I'm not as bad as what I, previously thought, because he's, in the winter transfer window, he was. It seemed like, if the right player come along, then we would have bought him. So no, I think that he's American and they love their American football, and and that was his first love before Arsenal, I suppose. So I suppose he's going to be, whacking more money in there if that's the way it works. But I'm not too bad as long as he ticks it over. I think, I can't remember who said it, but you can't miss transfer windows. Yeah, you can't. You have to tick along every window. In the winter, you need to buy someone. In the summer, you need to buy one player. In two players, you have to tick it along. You have to freshen your team. And if you win or something, you get in the Champions League or you win the title. You don't stop. You tick it over. You've got to tick it over. Even if you're spending 40 million, 50 million, if you need 200 million, then you pay the 200 million. Liverpool didn't need Diaz really, but they bought it to keep people fresh, to keep the other players, on their toes. Man City, when they built Alvarez, did they really need him? No, not really. But they know they want to keep other players on their toes. They need to keep players ticking over, and that's what I worry about sometimes with Kroenke and with American owners, that they don't see that, and they haven't got the foresight, to know what an English football club needs. But look, considering where we were, considering what he has been doing, obviously I would have loved something to come in the winter window. No, I'm I feel a little bit better, put it that way. I'm happy at the minute. I'm happy, not over happy, but I'm not too bad.
All right, Simon, do you think that Kroenke's coming through spending money? Do you feel like Arsenal have got a good future with Kroenke as the owner, KSE as the owner, and if we was to get into top four, we would really solidify it by putting some money in Arteta's hands to buy the players that he wants?
So, I mean, I'm a bit like Stuart. I don't know anything about American football, but what that told me is that he basically owns a club that has now won the biggest prize possible in the league that they were in. Mm-hmm. So he's been a successful owner in that respect. Now, I don't know how much money he is. I mean, obviously, I know he's spent copious amounts on this stadium, but he's clearly funded the team. Now, it's obviously slightly different how it's done over there, I think, than what it is here. But to me, if you get success, it becomes a bit of a drug. You sort of want more. So you're not telling me that he wouldn't want to mirror that success with one of his other sports, with one of the other clubs that he owns. So to me, he gets a lot of bad press. Now, I sort of get that. I understand, and people are saying, oh, he should have more to do with the club and he should be there. Well, I don't really buy into that, because, it's a global sport now, the Premier League, and you've got owner, City's owners are not there Liverpool's owners are never there. Chelsea's owners never there now. So do they really think that Kroenke should be at every home game? Mm-hmm. He's probably not going to be there. But that to me is sort of relevant now. He clearly understands what's going on at the club.
Yeah.
He spent big, or we spent big as a club. When we say we or he, it's his asset. So whatever money, whether people are saying it's a self-funding model or anything, it's all his money. So you've got to look at that. So we spent pretty big in the summer. Obviously, if we get top four, that will generate a minimum amount of cash, even if we just got into the group stage of the Champions League. Now, I would suggest all that money would be made available to spend on the club, plus more money that sort of is put in by KSE anyway. So what the one thing you'll notice is when we're doing very poorly, or sort of back end of seasons, when we're sort of like treading water, it's basically blame the owners and stuff like that. When we're on a bit of a better run, and when we're doing reasonably, like now, what you tend to find is you see a lot less of those comments about. So to me, it's slightly reactionary at times. It's like, oh, we've lost 2 games, let's blame the owners. Where if we win 4 games on the trot, nobody's saying, well done, the owners. So there's nothing we can do about who owns the club. Nobody listening to this podcast or nobody walking in the stadium on Saturday afternoon can even begin to comprehend just how much money it would take to buy Arsenal. So he's our owner. So you've got to just accept that and hope that he puts money in. But as I say, what that tells me on Sunday night is he is capable of owning a club to win a prize in that particular sport.
Yeah. I'm with you, Si. Because beforehand, I heard a lot of things about what Kroenke was doing with his club over there, and it started to sort of spark my interest a bit. But then I watched it on Saturday or Sunday, and the similarities are the similarities are there. Even where he's hired the youngest coach in the league, who's 36. We've got the youngest coach. He's trying to buy all the best players, but we can only buy a certain level player to a certain extent because we're not in the top four. We're not in Champions League. We're not in Europe even. So we're not going to get the upper echelons of players. We've got to buy down and buy up the ladder a bit more. I agree. I think success drives success, and he's not going to want to steer away from what he is there. Like these are multi-millionaires, and these are their toys, essentially. So they're going to want to show off that their next franchise is doing this and their next club's doing that. And if you look at the other ones that he owns as well, they're also doing well. The NFL team, the basketball team, and hopefully next is the football team. So I have high hopes now. I'm starting to believe in the Kroenke vibe, but come summer is when the real test is. But like I said before, many a time, it will depend on getting Champions League. And if we do get Champions League, I think this club's in for a sharp shock, but in a good way. On top of that, I saw a thing in the paper earlier on. It said Arsenal legend Robert Perez revealed that Arsene Wenger once sent a private jet to stop him signing for Real Madrid. Now, on that note, Steve, do you feel that Arsenal have that pull to sign the best players in the world? Do you think they still have that there? Do you think the clubs players want to join Arsenal?
Not like they don't want to join Arsenal as much as what they used to, because you've only got to look at the players and they're not there. So other players have gone to other clubs. You know, if I'm a top professional footballer and I'm getting asked to go to one of the other clubs, I'm going there, and I'm an Arsenal supporter, and you know I think I'm older than all of you, so I've supported Arsenal longer than all of you. So you know, it's not that I don't want that. It's just I think football's changed, and I generally believe that, you know, football, a lot of players do, unless you sort of play for that club, unless you've been a supporter of that club. A lot of players now look at the money, and you know, I mean, players like Vlahovic. I mean, you know, he wanted to go to Juventus. I sort of, you know, praise him for wanting to go to Juventus because, you know, it was his boyhood club, and he wanted to go there, and that's what I like. That's what I like with players, and I wish, you know, more players was like that. You know, and they had that hunger and they just wanted to play for their boyhood clubs. But can Arsenal get Ireland? Can Arsenal get the, you know, players like you know, Stick, and can they get the top players in the world? Not if they're not in the Champions League, they can't. I mean, they're not getting.
But there's the difference between Arsenal having the pull. The lure of the club is in the name Arsenal, and Arsenal financially putting the money down to get these players at all cost. I feel is two different things, in my eyes.
Well, I mean, the name's always going to be there, isn't it? The name Arsenal.
That's what I mean. Do Arsenal still have the pull to bring in these players? Let's just say we've got top four, but Arsenal still have that pull.
That's different. That's totally different.
No, but that's I'm basing it on the club. The club. Do Arsenal still have the pull to bring in these players?
If we get top four all day long, all day long, we're one of the biggest clubs in the world. We're the third biggest.
That's the question I'm asking, Steve.
yeah, but that's not changed since the 1920s. You know, with that.
Well, of course it's going to change. Of course it's going to change because then
to
you've
me,
got
no.
teams.
To me, it's not. I mean, just to me, it's never changed. I've always felt that whether it's the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2010s, I've always felt that, you know, that Arsenal's that big name that, you know, players, unless, you know, we were just talking about, you know, with the Champions League, unless they're not in it or they're struggling or, you know, they're sort of around about 8th or 7th, then we will attract the best players in the world, and that's why, because we're one of the biggest clubs in the planet. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world, and you know, we're probably one of the biggest out of the 5 biggest, best supported clubs in the world, and you know, we will attract players from all over the place. I mean, look at Thomas Partey. I mean, you know, he came to us. I suppose he could have gone other places, but he never. And but oh yeah, definitely. We will attract them, but you've got to be in the Champions League to do it. But you know, that's the name of the game these days, and the top players will play in the Champions League. But as you just said there, you know, if you're talking about in name, in my eyes, you know, there's Arsenal, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and no one will ever tell me that Tottenham are bigger and Chelsea are bigger and Man City bigger. Yeah, no way in the world. But if we're not in the Champions League, they'll go there. And that was my problem with that I had, and I've still got the gripe now, is why we didn't do nothing in the winter. You know, because I want my team back in the Champions League, and I feel that, you know, that might be a reason why we might not get there, and then that would mean top players would go somewhere else. So, but to answer your question, yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, 100 years time, you know, top players will always go in there. You know, as long as the club's doing well.
I think it all depends on if there really was that player in the January transfer window that Arsenal could have brought in. Like, I just, yes, we were linked with Vlahovic. Yes, there was the names like Arthur Melo going around, potentially Wijnaldum. But then once you get past that, who's selling their best players that's going to be of a level that Arsenal going to buy, that we're not going to be stuck with for years to come. That's the thing.
That's right. You look at Newcastle, yeah. So in theory, have got a bottomless pit, yeah. Who did they really sign? A couple of journeyman Premier League players, and the midfielder that they got in. Well, who knows what he's going to be like? But it was only 30 odd million. They're not telling me if Arsenal really wanted him, they couldn't have gone out and got him. But to me, Arsenal have always been one of the biggest teams in the league. They also sit in London, which is another attractive option for any foreign player that wants to come abroad. Yeah, it's easier to attract someone to London than any other city. Getting top 4, obviously, if you get top 4, it helps. But you know, if you ask most fans now, you say what's going to be on the shopping list for the summer, you're probably going to say maybe a couple of strikers, a midfielder, and another right back. Plus, you've got a centre half that's been on loan now for a couple of years, who's getting very good reports in France. But you could argue that, well, he's either going to get sold or he's going to come back. If he comes back, he's another centre half that's in the team. Out of those players that you want, the big names and the big money are going to be the forwards. They're always the most expensive players to sign. So, to me, if we were going to sign 2 strikers, I would like to sign one existing Premier League striker and maybe one from abroad, because I think the Premier League striker then hits the ground running, and you haven't got 2 new strikers in a brand new league trying to find their feet. Who they are, I don't know. You know, you could argue Calvert-Lewin. His name's been mentioned a lot, but who knows? But I really don't think that Arsenal will struggle to attract the players that they want. Now, whether, you know, we all know that Haaland's got this, whatever it is, £65 million release clause, but the chances are, you know, we could afford to buy him tomorrow, but how much he's going to want in wages, I don't know. And Arsenal have been caught out far too much in the past with paying stupid wages to bang average players that have been on the books for 4 years and have restricted our transfer activity elsewhere. So it's a very, very dangerous subject, isn't it, transfers? But I think, you know, as I say, that's next season, isn't it? That a lot of those questions will be answered in where we finish this season.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the reason I asked that is because Mikel Arteta was asked that question in a press conference with the journalists suggesting that Arsenal don't have the pull that they used to, and Mikel Arteta's answer was like, he was laughing at it because he couldn't believe that was coming out of the journalist's mouth, and he was saying, there's no one I've ever spoken to on the phone that doesn't want to come to Arsenal, whether that's from a player, whether that's recruitment, whether that's a scout, whether that's staff members. Everyone wants to join Arsenal. And it was quite funny the way he reacted, because it was like he was just laughing at him. It was like, are you crazy? This is Arsenal, which is, it's good to hear from an Arsenal fan. So the big
you do have to look at it from another point of view, though, don't you? You do have to look at it from another side.
Of course we have. I think we've been looking at it from the other side for however long.
You do have to look at it
for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. We've been looking at it from the other side.
Yeah,
especially the last few years, especially the last few years. Do we have the same pull when we're not in the Champions League? I think we probably all question that. So it's interesting to hear from the manager himself, and more interesting for me, it was the way he answered it. He laughed it off.
But once again, if you look at him, so you know, United went and bought Harry Maguire, didn't they, and paid 80 million for him. Yeah. So when we're talking about have we got the pull and the money to get the big players, so would you want Harry Maguire starting ahead of White or Gabriel? I wouldn't. No. I wouldn't want Harry Maguire.
It's about the right player. It's not about how much, isn't it? It's not about, you know. It's about bringing the right. I mean, look at Tomiyasu. Look at, you know, those guys. Tavares. You know, they didn't cost a lot. Ramsdale was a skip. You know, when it comes to it, that you know, that just goes back to my problem. I want Arsenal to get in this Champions League badly, where I'm having conversations with people who have got don't know nothing about football. You know, it's to that degree, you know, and I just got this horrible feeling it's not getting anybody in the win that's going to come back and bite us right in the arse. Well, and
I hope not. And yeah, it's one of them things we've got to see. Now this comment here, I think Zaha would fit perfectly, but maybe in 2015, but not 2022. And it's probably the reason why Unai Emery didn't get the signings that he wanted, because he was looking at the likes of Steven Nzonzi, Wilfred Zaha, Harry Maguire, whereas at the time, yes, they may have fit, yes, it may have worked, but now you'd be sitting on contracts with 3 years left, 2 years left, on a hefty amount of wages, and they would still be at the club, and how far can they take you on? And that's where you're at. And I think Simon said it earlier on, whereas Newcastle in a situation where I think someone like Bruno Guerreiro has still got plenty of sell-on value, but as Chris Woods, how long was his contract? Once you've survived the Premier League, you've now got Chris Woods on your books. If Newcastle do well next season, potentially get top half finish, or even better into the Europa League, is Chris Woods a player that they want to take on into Europa League? Then they've got to sell him at a loss, or then they've got to sell him on. Like, that's the situation that I think Arsenal don't want to get themselves into again. And I think
but you could have bought someone. Don't you think we could have got someone, say, like for 6 months or for a year for 5 million or 6 million to get us into the Champions League? Because all we've got at the moment is Eddie Nketiah. I just cannot. I can't get my head around it. Seriously, I just can't. I can't.
I still think we can juggle around up front if we need to. We've got other players that will have to come in and play if we get injuries. I mean, Lacazette is he's probably doing more as a team player than what he is as a goal scorer. I mean, he probably should have scored a goal on Thursday night, but he
Definitely.
didn't. But, let's hope that he's saving his best form for these last 16 games towards the end of the season. But he obviously does a bit of unselfish work for the rest of the team. But obviously, if you're looking at a striker, you want someone that's going to be banging in 15 to 20 goals throughout the season.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel like he's lost a bit of his killer instinct where he is dropping off so much? Because it doesn't feel like he wants to get into the area as much. I don't know whether you're seeing it differently, whether you're live.
Yeah, you could argue that he was directly responsible for the goal, wasn't he, on Thursday night, because he made a brave challenge with the keeper there. I mean, everyone's saying, was it a foul on the keeper? If anything, I thought it was a foul on him.
I thought it would have been a penalty if it didn't go to he didn't put it in. Yeah,
correct. But I mean, he'd had a good chance just before that with a header that he actually missed, and then obviously just after the sending off, he was sort of clean through, and he just put the shot past the side of the post, but. He'll score goals, but he's maybe a little bit low on confidence with his goal scoring at the moment. He lacks pace, which is obviously, if you're a defender and you're playing against him, you probably know that he's not gonna win the race for the ball over the top, is he? So it somewhat negates the defender having to worry about running back because he thinks he's going to win every time. But we'll see. He's going to start most of the go. If he doesn't start, you either play Martinelli there or you play Pepe there. So I don't see that happening while Lacazette's fit.
Mm-hmm. We'll go to Johnny we'll go to Steve on this question. Arteta has bought players with character and ability, but I think he sees character as one of the most important factors when deciding on a player. What's your thoughts on that, Steve?
Yeah, I mean that's stuff. That's something that you do for. I think that's a no-brainer. I think when you look at when you're looking at a player, I think it's important that, like we just said before you put the comment up there, that they're the right fit for the club. Whether they're under £1 million or whether they're £20 million or whether they're £2 million. If they can come in and do a job like we was mentioning earlier, like Christopher Wray come in for nothing, and he done a job and probably won us the title because we had an injury. But he came in, he was the right fit when nobody knew who he is. But it's massively important. I mean, we only have to look at, our team at the moment. And, you look at our defenders and, Arteta needs a massive pat on the back from the way he's literally built that, that defence. And, with Ramsdale and Tomiyasu and Gabriel White and Tierney, it's like they're best mates. And you can see when we score a goal, with them all celebrating together. You see them in training. They look best mates. You see Xhaka and Partey, that they, even though they're a little bit older, that you can see them joining in, having a laugh with the younger boys. And you've seen Xhaka and Partey. They've got this. They seem to have fitted together, and and it's great, and it's massively important. And what Arteta has done, he has sifted out the people who he feels are not the right fit, and is which is people like Guendouzi and obviously Ozil went in the end, and Aubameyang, and and he got rid of those. And at the moment, it's as much as worried as what I'm seeing. I'm loving seeing what every week, and that all goes down to Mikel's foresight in bringing in the right player for the right position to play in the team. And yeah, I mean it's massively important. And you look at the team now, and you don't see any really bad eggs, do you? Okay, that you might have to turn around and say to players like maybe Lacazette or Nketiah and say, you're not really going to probably have a career much past the end of this season. And but I think they know that, and you can just see by the atmosphere in the club. And yeah, big up to Mikel Arteta, big pat on the back of him, because we do. I mean, I've questioned his man management, to a degree at points, or maybe not questioned it, but just sort of jury's out on it. But at the moment, as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm seeing this bond, and this fight, and that all goes down to the question of Johnny's question of bringing in the right players, and when they're 1-0 down or 1-0 up and they're down, they've lost a man, they're down to 10 men and they've got to fight. They're all brothers on the pitch, and it's massively important, massive.
Well, anyone that thinks that, or you get this constantly thrown at Arteta, that it's basically like, oh, he hasn't got the experience, he's too young, we need someone with more experience. You've only got to look up the road at Spurs and look at the fact that they had Mourinho there for however long, done absolutely nothing. So he's got as much experience as anybody else in the managerial sense. They've now got Conte there, who was chomped as this, oh, let's get Conte in, everybody wanted him, blah, blah, blah. You look at him now, and ultimately, do you really think he's made any difference since he's been there? You could argue like, oh, he needs umpteen transfer windows, but if he's that good a manager, then surely he would get more out of this team that have got an awful lot of players still there.
They're bad, Simon, I tell you. They're bad.
But if he's such a miracle worker, Steve, surely he would have been able to sort the problems out straight away. Now, this is the guy, this is the guy that starts with 5 at the back in a home game against Wolves, his team selection, and after 25 minutes goes to a 4 at the back and makes a substitution. So who's got that wrong? Is that him? Is this the tactical genius who against Wolves thinks, oh, hang on, I've made a mistake here, so we'll have to change the formation? Did he do his homework properly? It's early days for him again, but just because a manager's won something somewhere else does not mean to say that they're going to come into any club and stamp their offer. Man United, look at them. Look at who they've had there since Ferguson's gone. What have they done? Nothing at all. So it really isn't that easy.
No.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one thing on the man management, it was very interesting, which was in his press conference as well. Mikel Arteta said, I don't know where people are getting this notion that I'm overly strict, which told me a lot about the whole, because people said about should you not be giving certain players leeway on lateness and stuff like that. And he just looked at them and said, I don't know where you're getting this from, where people feel like I'm too harsh on that stuff. So, which says that there is a certain extent where he will let you have some leeway, but don't take the mick. And to get that leeway, surely you've got to be doing what you was doing to get that leeway in the first place, and keep that up, and you can have that. But as soon as you don't, that's where the problem lies. I
think you're right, mate. I think you're right, because these, at the end of the day, these are all young men. And they're gonna, like you said, they're gonna cock up every now and then. They're not saints. We've all been, of an age where we've, not done what we're supposed to do. When we've been at work or whatever. And I think with Aubameyang, he probably, as much as I felt we should have kept him just because because I feel we might need him. It wasn't his first time. And I suppose in the end, he just,
Johnny's right.
Too much.
Yeah. Johnny does make a good point. We've been saying for years, the desire and will to win is key for the squad. Do you think that desire, that character, that togetherness will take us over the line, Simon?
Well, let's break the team down. Does anybody want to change the majority of our defence at the moment? Because that's, every decent team starts with a solid back 4, back 5.
I like the backup as well.
Like that. So do I. So if you look at our defending stats this season compared to the last 3 or 4 years, it's a total turnaround. So I would suggest that when he came into the club, he must have identified at a very, very early stage that I've got to sort this defence out. Something's got to change here. Something's got to give. And and once again, there we saw, Ramsdale signs. He gets slated before he'd even walk through the door, and he's been a revelation. And people were basing that on the fact that he'd been relegated 2 seasons in a row. Yeah, and that's how naive people are when it comes to commenting on things. It's embarrassing. Yeah, And basically, who now would want to swap Ramsdale for any other keeper? Probably nobody, would they? So you could argue you've never sorted out an entire team, but you could argue that you've rectified a large proportion of the problems that we had in defence. If you move forward into midfield, I still think there's more work needs doing in the midfield there. But if you get the right complement of players, that will help. And as I say, I think let's take the youngsters out. Let's take the Sakas, Odegaards, Martinellis and Smith Rowe out of it. But maybe we need an older hand up front. When I say someone like a 26, 27-year-old who's maybe in his prime and someone else. But as I said before, I'd like maybe to see a Premier League ready striker coming in. But you're not telling me, he gets so much stick, Arteta, on social media, and a lot of it it's not even worth reading because people have got no idea what's going on, inside the club. And I'm pretty sure that nobody, none of those players are unhappy with him. Yes, he's obviously had a disagreement with Aubameyang there, but okay, he was probably going to get sold in the summer anyway. He's gone. He was doing nothing before then anyway. He wasn't scoring. He didn't really warrant a place. So it was time to move on. It was time for both parties to go their separate ways. Yeah,
I think when you're building a team, you are going to get people say, about Aubameyang and about Ozil and about Saliba, and when you're building a team, I think you're going to get that. But it seems to me he's learned a lot from Pep because Pep does exactly the same thing. I can name 3 or 4 players that Pep's fallen out with. For Manchester City, and it hasn't done them any harm, has it? It hasn't done that. I mean, I still do agree that I'm not privy to see what's going on behind the scenes, and I do think you obviously do have to treat players a little bit differently, and because kids are kids and proper professionals, and Arteta was probably really annoyed with Aubameyang because the fact that maybe because you should know better. You're a 30-year-old.
More disappointed.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. And that's like me and Kieran. I've said on here a lot, haven't I? I get annoyed with players that, I know that should know better or can do better. With the youngster ones, I'm like, come on, I'm not an Arsenal fan. I don't agree with witch hunters on players. I don't like this. You see a lot on social media. You get fans who are just sort of they grab hold of a player. And then it's a witch hunt on that player for the whole season, and then it sort of spreads all around the internet, and that does no one any good, and it certainly doesn't do Arsenal any good. But I mean, he's come in, and we've been eighth, and we've seen improvement, and now we're sitting, with it like you said at the beginning. We got the possibly not exactly in our hands, but. If we keep going along with this sort of trait we've been going on for the last few years, showing this fight, we've got a good chance. And look, this is because of Mikel Arteta and who he's brought in. And at the end of the day, whoever questions, his decisions about even Aubameyang, which I'm still a little bit sure about, you can't argue with what he's done. And I mean, I can sort of say to him, I think you should have done this, but I know what his qualities are, and I don't want him to go. And to be honest with you, I want someone to tie him down. I don't know what contract he's on, Kieran, but whatever it is, I want to hurry up and sign him on another one because I think this geezer's one of the best managers in the league, without doubt.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got the potential to be a top manager in Europe, and on the Pep Guardiola thing, he's got very similar traits. Obviously, he's worked with Pep Guardiola, but he's also worked with Arsene Wenger. He's also worked with I think it was Dick Advocaat or it might have been Walter Smith at Rangers. So he's picked up qualities from all different sorts of managers, and I'm sure he would have picked up all good traits and said, "No, I don't want that," because although we see a very similar in a lot of things that Pep Guardiola does. I don't think it's the same mannerisms. I don't think it's the same sort of. I think he's a different person. I think he's a little bit softer, not in a bad way, but I think you're more likely to get an arm around the shoulder from Arteta than you are from Pep Guardiola, who could sometimes come across as quite cold and calculated with his decisions and things that he does. I think Arteta's slightly different. yeah, I am excited to see what he does with the club. I love the discipline that he's brought into this club. For too long, I've seen people faffing around and taking the mick. You only got to hear about old players coming back to the club and being shocked at how people are being disrespectful. And I'm sure that's probably disrespectful towards the manager or disrespectful the way they're acting. And then when you see new managers bring in those sorts of players and give them a starting place and like they can't undroppable, that's when the club is going to go into spiral downhill. And I'm glad we got rid of players like Guendouzi, and I'm glad he separated the likes of Saliba away from Guendouzi in the first place. Even Guendouzi feels like he's sort of grown up a little bit. Not enough to come back. He can still stay away because I don't think he's worth the trouble. But even
did you see that clip when he started kicking the crap out of the
I don't mind. I don't mind that. What I do mind is him acting like a child when he's not a child. Like, people want to say, oh, he's just a kid. He's not a kid. He's a grown man. Like, he was 20, he's 19. He's a grown man. Yeah, he may be a young man, but he's still a grown adult. No grown adults jump up and down on the table and think it's like you're just trying to be an idiot. You're trying to be a clown. And that's not where Arsenal are at. Arsenal are a classy club, and it feels like they're getting that back now.
Look at Alex Ferguson. No, look at Alex Ferguson, the players he kicked out.
Yes, exactly. And all the top managers do, because they can't have that sort of. No matter how good the player is, if the player starts dictating what the manager does and how he acts and what the club do, then you're in trouble. Then you're a goner. You're as good as how he feels that day or his form. And as soon as that's gone, you're gone. And you'll be the first one to go as well. So, yeah. Let me quickly read through some of these comments. What we're going to say here, what we're saying. Simon says, if Arsenal miss out on top four, it's not the end of the world. There's always next year as well. We will spend in the summer and the money will recruit with the wages. Johnny says, what else Johnny said out here? We all know a lot more than when the documentary comes out. Oh, I hope so. I'm gonna be watching it. I actually can't wait for that to come out. It's gonna be decent. All right, that is all we have time for. We've gone slightly over. It didn't feel like it actually went well quick tonight. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Steve.
Cheers, mate. Pleasure.
And thank you very much for joining us tonight, Simon.
Cheers, Kieran. Just one game at a time. Let's get behind the boys on Saturday and see where we are this time next week when we discuss it.
I think that's all you can do. I think it has to be when it's this tight, when it's this close. Yeah. If you're going to look at what everyone else is doing, you're going to end up in a nut house by the end of this year. I tell you.
Yeah, and a lot of people will be in the nut house by the end of this year because they'll be watching every game. They will be watching every game that Arsenal aren't playing and feeling like it's Arsenal. There'll be every Arsenal fan's going to have about 4 other teams they support by the end of the season. So, yeah. This is what we want. This is what we support club for. We don't want to get to this point in the league and it's all over, or do you know what I mean? Like, we want this, whether it's top 4, top 2, going for the league, going for a cup. Like, we're still in something. So, and that's what's important. We want to compete, and this is competing. It might not be what other people call competing, but top 4. Arsene Wenger said it years ago, and he got laughed off, but it's coming to fruition now. It is a trophy, and it will. If we get that at the end of the season, it will feel like a trophy. Trust me.
Yeah, I'm going to make one. I tell you, I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to come in here and go,
don't. I don't even want to talk about it because we just wait. We can talk about it when we get like 3 or 4 games towards the end of the season, if we're there. All right.
You know that ain't happening, didn't you?
All right. It's happening, Steve. I can feel it. All right. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Callisto. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Johnny. Johnny had an outfit change halfway through. I've got a lot of time for that, Johnny. Look at that. Striker pose, Johnny. Look at that. He changed outfits halfway through.
No, he wanted to do you know what that was? He wanted to get on the pitch. He said, right, I've had enough of this. Get me top off. Get me kit. He's shouting out to the missus. Get me kit on. Love.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Russ. Dappers, thank you very much for joining us. A new one. Smash that subscribe button, please. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Simon. All right, peace out, people. Con is gutted he couldn't join us. I've had the amount of messages he sent me apologising. Doesn't matter, Con. Internet's internet. You cannot control the internet when you're in a hotel, mate. It is what it is. We'll just do something else. It's all right. Anyway, peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.